Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Fall River Housing Authority meeting. It's Monday, January 9th, 2023, and it's 4:33 p.m. Attorney Souza, the open meeting law, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. The language for the open meeting law is as follows. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
Thank you. Martha, the roll call.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Here.
Vice Chairman Underhill.
Here.
Commissioner Burns is absent. Commissioner Bentley.
Here.
Commissioner Madeira.
Here.
Thank you. Any citizens' input this evening? Seeing none. Any resident input? Please, thank you. Quickly.
Thank you, Mary. Two things quickly. First one is we're planning on running some elections in some of the buildings where we don't have anyone. I just talked to Eddie Wachowski. We'll be getting a new tenant assistant at Mitchell. And you're all invited. The farmers markets started again. Fridays, Cardinal Madeiras, 11 to 2. We had a great turnout this past Friday. Everybody should come down and buy some fresh fruits and vegetables. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Item 2 is the minutes of the regular meeting held on December 12th, 2022. The recommended action is to accept the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 3 is bills and communications. A are the vouchers. The vouchers are in your packet. Do I have a motion to accept the vouchers as presented?
I make a motion to accept the vouchers as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4 is the management reports. The 8 reports are included in your packet. Report 1 is at the applications. 2 is the occupancy reports. 3 is the tenants' accounts receivable. 4 is the work order reports. 5 is the monthly Section 8 voucher activity report. 6 is the monthly personnel count report. 7 is the Director of Modernization's monthly report, and 8 is the bank investment and bond debt balance report. Recommended action is to accept the reports as presented.
Motion to accept reports.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions with regard to any of these reports? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 5 is the financial report. It's for the period ended November 30, 2022. Included in your packet is the operating statements for each of the programs. Do I have a motion to approve these reports as presented?
I make a motion to approve the reports as presented.
Second? Jack?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions with regard to the operating reports for the 8 months ending 11/30/2022? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 6 is an update. Mr. Sardelli?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Just a few quick items. Our Resident Services Department, Joey DeSilva, will be coordinating with South Coast Health, and they'll be conducting a community wellness program at our elderly sites throughout the month of January, some diabetes testing, things like that. So that's a positive program for our elderly residents. Wednesday of this week, we will be meeting with the union's Unit A, which is the facilities department, and begin negotiations again. So that will start this Wednesday afternoon. And the last thing I have, next week, I will be meeting with the City Council Committee on Human Services. They invited me to one of their meetings to discuss housing and homeless issues. So that's next week. That's all I have for this month.
Quiet month with the
Quiet
holidays in between. Any
Thank you.
questions? Hearing none. Next item is old business. Item A is the contract award for the elevator modernizations, number 3 and 4 at Cardinal Madeiras Towers. 4 bids were received and opened on October 27th, 2022. The recommended action is to award the contract to the low bidder, Coletta Contracting Company Incorporated, in the amount of $1,376,700. Do I have a motion to award this contract?
I'll make a motion to award the contract to Coletta Contracting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions with regard to this contract or the bids on this contract?
Madam Chair, I'm going to abstain.
Okay. No questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Under new business, item 1 is modernization. A is the change order number 1 for the bathroom renovations project at Heritage Height. The change order number 1 is an increase of $49,775.02 to the contract for unforeseen conditions and additional changes. The breakdown is included, and the contract duration is going to increase of, additional 255 days? Is that correct? Or 255 days? I'm sorry.
250.
An additional 255 days over the current contract. Sorry, I wanted to be sure I had that correct. Do I have a motion to approve this change order?
Motion to approve the change order.
Second.
Any questions on this change order or the extension on the time?
I just have a question regarding the extension. Was there a delay?
In the ordering of some of the materials, this project started during COVID, then there were some delays, additional materials, tub surround kits. That was, I think, the biggest delay in getting that. And there was insulation, there was some metal studs, but that wasn't as bad. That was more readily available. But the PVC tub kits, there was a delay in ordering that. But that wasn't the only thing. It was getting in and out during COVID. If there was a scheduled bathroom and somebody had tested positive, then that had to be put on hold.
So once this is approved and the contractor's back on site, they'll just finish the job?
It's just about done.
It's just about done, okay.
The 255 days goes back.
Goes back, okay.
Yeah, it's not like just starting now and then we're going to do another 255. It's going back like almost a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 2 is miscellaneous. A is the Fall River Housing Authority 2024 Agency Plan Certification for the 5-year annual plan. It was executed by myself and the director, and the certification of the state and local official of the PHA plan, consistency with the consolidated plan that was executed by the mayor, and the DHCD fiscal year 2024 annual plan. This was for information only. This is the big packet that you have included in your package. Does anyone have any questions with regard to the presentation? Seeing none. Item B is an open meeting law complaint filed by Patrick Higgins in reference to the 2012-2022 regular board meeting. And the recommended action is to review the general counsel's initial response requesting an extension for the board to meet beyond the statutory 14-day meeting requirement, and 2, to review the AG's approval, and 3, the designated general counsel to respond to the open meeting law complaint. Do you want to add to this at all?
It's
Attorney
just
Souza?
basically, yeah, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Just a basic response to the open meeting law complaint would have required that the board meet in special session within 14 days of the complaint being filed. which would mean that we would have had to have convened. So I requested an extension so that it could be addressed on the board agenda this evening. You could designate me to write the response. That's why I haven't prepared one, because we want to go by the book. And then I'll respond to the open meeting law request. The complaint alleges two things that, I don't know if you remember at the last meeting, we had given several citations out, and I think that there was a misunderstanding, but I'm going to review well, I've already reviewed the video footage, and I believe that we were in the right, so to speak. So I'm going to respond to that, put it in writing, send it out to the Attorney General's office for clarification, and then they will approve and dismiss the complaint, or they'll require further issuance of activity for us. So we'll do it that way.
So what we're looking for this evening is
So-
approval for Attorney Souza to respond to this complaint.
So motion to approve?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item C is the Community Preservation Commission. This is for discussion. Executive Director, do you want to discuss the issue at hand here?
Sure. So this committee, currently, Commissioner Burns sits on this, but I believe his term was expiring, but I'm not sure if it got renewed. But I know Commissioner Bentley, you expressed interest in this. So with Commissioner Burns not being here, I wanted to put it on so we could discuss, and rather than we kind of appoint someone could volunteer. So I'm not sure with Jason being absent if he expressed that he wanted to stay on it, but if he changed his mind, you were here, but he's not here, so.
Could I maybe give a
Sure.
little additional? So a communication had come through from the city clerk's office, which I believe was prompted by a discussion with the chairperson of this group. So as you all may remember, when it came to me, I wanted to put it out there for your pleasure and whatnot. Commissioner Bentley responded that she'd be interested. A day or two later, Commissioner Burns responded that he was under the impression he was on it. So just with further clarification with Inez, because we've had a lot of vacation time from Clerk Bouchard over the holidays and whatnot, was back briefly, back on vacation. Apparently, Commissioner Burns, their 3-year terms had retired in August. It's not a problem on the city side because they typically do, I may not be using the right terminology or phrase, but it's almost like it's an automatic six-month grace period, which would carry into February. So as far as community preservation is concerned, there's no violation of city ordinance or this or that or whatever this is. But obviously, we're at the point now, this will probably be our last meeting prior to the expiration. So I'm not sure if he expressed to anyone a desire to stay. He had expressed to me that he was under the impression he was on it, and he in fact was, but that term expired in August. So it's the pleasure of this board, whether you want to stick with Commissioner Burns, although I'm not sure if he stated to anyone that he truly wants to stay. He was under the impression, or what I gleaned from his email was he was under the impression that he was still on. Or if you want to go to Commissioner Bentley, again, it's solely the pleasure of the board here. Kevin and I don't have a recommendation one way or another. The city clerk didn't have a recommendation one way or another. They just were hoping that we could assign somebody tonight.
That's why I put it on for discussion, so we don't have to force someone.
To do it.
It could be discussed and hopefully.
I think there was a time, Kevin, I mean, these type of things would come up over decades past and whatnot, and if there was no interest, then you would typically take the newest person on the board and say, hey, you're gonna do it.
I was
So-
awarded that honor.
So at least Commissioner Medeiros, you don't have to worry about that at this point. You're in the clear, but I guess the board has to decide which way they want to go here.
I would
So
suggest appointing Commissioner Bentley due to her expressed interest, and unfortunately, Commissioner Burns being absent tonight.
I second that.
So I was gonna say, I think it's Jason's, if he's on it, my opinion would be if he no longer wants to stay on it, I'd be happy to do it. But I would give him first right of refusal since he's already on it.
Okay, so we will speak to Commissioner Burns. If he wants to remain on it, that's what will inform the city of our choice. And if he does not, you'll be the alternate to take that slot.
Yeah.
That
It's
fair to
his,
say?
my feeling is I didn't know that he was
And
already.
I didn't either.
So if he's on it, I think it's his decision if he doesn't want to stay on it, or if he does.
And when it
want
came to
stay
my
on it.
attention, I took the attitude, well, there must be a vacancy. That's why I emailed
Correct.
You
That's
said it
everybody.
was a
what I thought.
3-year term, right? Because
This is what I was told by the assistant clerk.
I thought Jason had only been put on that last year.
That's what I was, I
I
thought
kind of
too.
remember that coming
I
up.
remember speaking about that
They,
last
they
year.
said, they said it expired in
Maybe he-
August.
Maybe he filled a
Someone's
vacant.
term?
Yeah, maybe he
Perhaps.
finished
Perhaps
it.
he
He may have
finished
finished a
his
term that was,
I do remember talking about it.
So that, yeah,
but-
that makes sense, but I do remember last year,
Yeah,
the
it
question
was.
coming up and him expressing the interest in.
So it
joining.
sounds like, though, if he has the desire to stay, the board's comfortable with that. If he has the desire to leave, Commissioner Bentley
Will
has
take
no
over.
problem serving.
that sounds fair enough.
And I misunderstood, I thought we had to do a vote on that tonight or some approval, but
I don't know what has been
we can
done in the past,
give
what past
Jason
practice has
that
been.
courtesy, then that's
I-
fine.
No, I think somebody,
Man on the totem pole.
I was just going to say, somebody either volunteers or it's the low man on the totem pole, so.
Yeah, that's.
It doesn't require
When I
us.
first got on the board, I was appointed to that committee.
Yeah, so we'll leave it at that. If Jason decides that he'd prefer to stay, then fine, but if
That's
not,
perfectly fine.
we are
Yep.
very grateful for you, Joanne, to take his spot.
And by tomorrow, we'll get his response, and we'll let the clerk know.
And I'm sure he'll pass on whatever materials he has to date to get you up to speed.
That's fine. That's fine.
Perfect. Item D is electrical inventory supplies. The recommended action is to award a one-year contract to the lone bidder, electrical wholesalers, in the amount not to exceed $50,000. Do I have a motion to award the contract?
Motion to award 1-year contract to lone bidder electrical wholesalers.
And a second? Any questions with regard to this bid? All in favor? Aye. Item E is security guard service contract for Cardinal Madeira's Towers and Barresi Heights. The recommended action is to extend the current contract with US ENTRA for a 1-month period. Do I have a motion to extend this security contract for another month?
I will make that motion, but I do have a question about
Okay.
it.
I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? Joanne?
Yes, is there any reason it wouldn't be more than 1 month?
Commissioner, we put out a request for proposal where the proposals were due Tuesday the 3rd, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. As you know, to comply with open meeting law, the agenda needs to be set by no later than Thursday, giving us 2 days to review, check references. What was unexpected to me, I was pleasantly surprised because I did force this out to, I want to say 8 or 9 companies. I was pleasantly surprised that we got 3 proposals back. One from the existing, which is this particular company, and 2 additional companies. Basically, I pivoted to this because I wanted to make sure that we gave the proposals due diligence as far as references, research, as much as we can get on a background.
So this is extending the current contract
Yes.
while you
So-
do
exactly.
your,
And we already have them in.
Got
So
it.
I'm not waiting for a due date.
Okay.
Had an in-person interview today with one of the 3, have another phone teleconference scheduled Thursday at noon. So the current contract goes to January 31st, extend it to February 28th, have a recommendation for you all at the February meeting, and go from there. It seemed
Understood.
like the most prudent course of action, as opposed to, again, try to make a quick recommendation in 48 hours, coming back the first week of the new year and making a mistake. You know, as you know, by using the proposal process, I mean, yeah, we look at price, but unlike a bid process, you're not necessarily bound to the lowest response and
right.
responsible, so to speak. You can consider factors in addition to price via the technical proposal and checks and references and things of that nature. All the department lists and all that, which again, I don't anticipate that being a problem for any of them. But it seemed like the more prudent thing to do. The more Kevin and I bantered back and forth over it, it just seemed like the smarter way to approach it. Why rush a decision into a 3-year security contract? And
Okay,
again, this
thank you.
is our traditional one, Commissioner Bentley, so Baresi and Cardinal, where we've always had that. As you know, we're so far so good, I believe, at Doolin, but this is the traditional 3-year one.
All right,
At
thank
Cardinal
you.
and Baresi.
Can I speak on this, even though I'm gonna have to recuse myself from the vote? Okay. You said you had 2 other proposals?
Yeah, so 3 in total.
addition to this one.
Yeah, 2 in addition to the.
Can I ask, are they local companies?
One has an office in, 2 offices, Dedham and Pawtucket, and the other is, the corporate office, I believe, is Windsor, Connecticut. So you basically have Warwick, you have another one with Dartmouth and Dedham and Pawtucket for one company, Warwick for the existing company, and Windsor. It's either Windsor or South Windsor, I apologize, Connecticut.
It just seems that one of the problems we have with this company that we have now is if somebody does call in sick, or even to cover a vacation, it's very hard to get somebody to come from the Warwick area into Fall River to cover, because it's,
And part of the reason, Commissioner Underhill, that I was pleasantly surprised by getting 3 proposals, at least, to have someone to vet and whatnot, because it seems like it's an industry that has become a little bit notorious for staffing issues. I think a combination of, and I know we're coming out of COVID, but a combination of increased security needs and also the typical staffing shortage issues that you're kind of seeing in various industries everywhere, whether it's anything from school departments to, I don't know, pick an industry, manufacturing, whatever it may be. Service industry, obviously, we've seen that. So I think, I think they're all quality companies. There is those staffing issues. They have a hard time backfilling and whatnot. But I think, I think we're going to make an informed, good selection. That's all I can really say at this point.
because I'm not,
That's my plan anyway.
just speaking as a tenant rep, I'm not very happy with Unicentra, or whatever they're called now.
Yeah.
They just seem to be too comfortable at their positions, and they just, I think a change would probably do us good. That's as long as the money's right and everything. I don't want to get blindsided, but just for the sake of changing companies. But I think, as Commissioner Medeiros is, security is a big thing with us, and I don't think these guys are footing the bill anymore. They did at the beginning, but they just, so that's, you're gonna discuss it further with you when you talk to the other 2 companies. So I hope I hope one of them can come up with a strong proposal, because I think we need a breath of fresh air in that, so.
And just so you know, I've had them reviewed by, I've gone through them, our executive director, Kevin, and also Debbie Morissette. So it's obviously not just my decision.
Right,
but,
right.
You know, we'll use sound judgment, and you'll get a recommendation that'll include price and whatever factors that maybe created a situation where the selected company stood out,
Okay.
so.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Oh, good.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, thank you. Item F is the compact replacement at Mitchell Heights. The recommended action is to award the contract to the low bidder, McGuire Equipment Incorporated, in the amount not to exceed $24,384. Do I have a motion to award this contract?
I make a motion to award the contract.
Do I have a second? Any questions or concerns about this contract award? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 3 is personnel. A is the resignation of an employee. The recommended action is to accept the resignation of John Frank. He's a maintenance custodial floater, effective on December 16th, 2022. I have a motion to accept Mr. Frank's resignation.
Motion to accept the resignation?
Second?
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item B is a maintenance mechanic slash floater, third shift position. The recommended action is to approve the appointment of David Souza. Have a motion?
Motion to approve appointment of David Souza.
Second.
Thank you. Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Maderos?
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill?
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley?
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi?
Yes. Item C is the Director of Finance position. The recommended action is to ratify the in-house posting and the outside advertising if necessary. Motion to ratify?
I make a motion to ratify in-house posting and outside advertising if necessary.
Thank you. In a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And item 4 is the election of the officers for calendar year 2023.
Madam Chairwoman, we can do it one of two ways. We can do it individually, or you can elect the same slate. There could be a motion from the floor to elect the same slate of officers that you had for 2022, rather than take them individually. So I don't know if that's the pleasure of the board.
What is the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion to keep the officers as the same as they were previous year.
Second that?
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Underhill?
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley?
Yes.
Commissioner Maderos?
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi?
Yes.
And just for the record, the slate of officers are Chairwoman Sahadi, Vice Chairman would be Mr. Underhill, and the Treasurer would be Mr. Burns, sorry.
Thank you. At this time, we have nothing further coming before us, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.